Hello and welcome to my Yu-Gi-Oh channel. Today we're looking at some brand new cards which are introduced within a character pack which is meant to support characters that use wind attribute monsters. The first card is Speedroid Party Horn Kit. It's a level 4 wind attribute machine type tuner effect monster with 1000 attack and 1000 defense. You can only use the first and second effects of this card's name once per turn each. 1. If this card is normal or special summoned, you can excavate cards from the top of your deck equal to the number of other wind monsters you control. Add 1 excavated card to your hand, also place the rest on the bottom of the deck in any order. So the nice thing about this effect is, if it's just normal or special summoned, so either way it doesn't matter, you're able to just excavate a number of cards. Based on the wind monsters you have, that could be anywhere between 1 and 5 other monsters, considering you also have your extra deck zone as well. That means if you're looking at your 5 cards, there aren't any restrictions to it. You can look at anything you want and be able to just pick that card and add it straight to your hand. It's not that it has to go to the top of the deck or you have any limitations of using that card within the turn, which is nice. It's also good that it doesn't restrict to the type of card that you can search from this effect. They could have made this card really bad by just putting a text in saying you can only add a Speedroid card or a card which features the word roid in it to your hand. So by this you can go for any of your monsters, spell or trap cards with that flexibility. The secondary effect is more to do with level manipulation. Whilst this is not necessarily a bad thing, it doesn't always extend to the right combo when you need it. I know there are quite a few synchro monsters out there that happen to be in the Speedroid archetype. I know you've got at least a level 4, a level 5, a level 6, a 7 and an 8. And I think now with some of the boss monsters you've got a level 10 out there as well. That's decent because you've got that flexibility to go into any of the different versions, but it does reduce its level by 2. It would have been nice if it had reduced by either 1 or 2, or you had the option of maybe rolling a dice and then reducing the monster's level to that point, so you have a little bit more flexibility rather than just a standardized level reduction of 2. But I'm not complaining. This level manipulation means you don't have to run things such as harmonic waves or something else that you might not have much space for. Speedroid Magic Hound is a level 3 wind attribute machine type effect monster with 800 attack and 800 defense. You can only use the second effect of this card's name once per turn. 1. When this card is normal summoned, you can send 1 Speedroid card from your deck to your graveyard. 2. If this card is in your graveyard except the turn it was sent there, you can banish this card, then target 1 Speedroid monster in your graveyard, shuffle it into the deck, and if you do, special summon 1 Speedroid synchro monster with the same level but different name from your extra deck, but its effects are negated. So this is actually really flexible and is quite needed within the deck as well. The first effect is a Foolish Burial effect. It helps you to pitch one of your Speedroid monsters, and actually helps with its secondary ability as well. Because whatever you sent to the graveyard through that effect, you're then able to return that back to the deck, and then you're able to bring out a Speedroid synchro monster that happens to meet the same level. Yes, it does have its effects negated, but that can always just be used for an additional synchro summon within that turn. It's just a way of stepping stoning things without requiring, additional use of cards, which at some stages could be quite bricky. Hi-Speedroid Cork Blaster is a level 3 wind attribute synchro type tuner effect monster with 500 attack and 1000 defense. It requires a tuner and 1 non-tuner monsters. You can only use the effect of this card's name once per turn. You cannot special summon monsters the turn you activate this card's effect, except wind attribute monsters. 1. If this card is synchro summoned, you can activate one of these effects. Add 1 Speedroid spell or trap card from your deck to your hand, or if this card was synchro summoned, using only Speedroid monsters as material, and all the materials that were used for its synchro summon are in your graveyard, you can special summon all of them. This is another example of one of those extender cards. It does have the option of searching one of your Speedroid spell or traps, so you can use it for that. Or the secondary ability helps to stepping stone your synchro summons, as you can then synchro summon using this card and the non-tuner monster that you happened to summon using it, and then you might be able to use the tuner on top of that to be able to get up to a level 6 monster out, and then potentially you could then revive this to get out a level 9 monster or something equivalent. It does restrict to the type of monsters you're able to summon being wind attributes, but that's how the Speedroid archetype was designed. If it could let you synchro summon it into absolutely anything, then that would make it very splashable within most types of decks, especially since it doesn't have any requirements as to how it's summoned. It's just a tuner and a non-tuner monster. They're generic. Hi-Speedroid Clearwing Rider is a level 11 wind attribute machine type synchro effect monster with 3,500 attack and 2,000 defense. The materials, it needs 1 wind attribute tuner and 1 non-tuner wind synchro monster. The effect, once per turn you can roll a 6-sided die and shuffle wind monsters from your graveyard into the deck up to the result. Then you can destroy cards your opponent controls up to the number shuffled. And if you do, this card gains 500 attack for each card destroyed by this effect until the end of this turn. 2. During your opponent's main phase as a quick effect, you contribute this synchro summoned card, special summon up to 2 level 7 wind attribute synchro monsters with different names from your extra deck. Firstly, the summoning condition on this card might seem a bit steep, but actually within the Speedroids, they're able to synchro climb quite easily. I'm sure with the new support alongside its old support, it's actually a lot easier to do. As for its first effect, that's actually, depending on what you roll, it can be really useful. If you can roll up to 6 cards for the die, and then be able to recover all those wind attribute monsters, you're able to then get rid of, 6 cards your opponent has. In all likelihood, they probably won't have 6 cards, or you might not have 6 cards in order for you to shuffle back into your deck. Well, maybe you can if you're synchro summoning into this within 1 or 2 turns, but typically not. And then you've also got the ability to gain up to another 3,000 attack. This could become a 6,500 attack monster. If done in the correct way, this can wipe out your opponent within an OTK on your very first turn. Unlikely, but it can happen, and stranger things have happened before. I do consider it a bit of a nuisance. It has to be a destruction effect, but otherwise it would be too broken if it was just, sent to the graveyard, as at least that gives your opponent opportunity, if they've got destruction-based floating effects, to trigger from those to protect their life points. The secondary ability I think is also quite neat. The ability to tribute this card and then just bring out any 2 level 7 wind attribute synchro monsters. Remember, they don't have to be specific outside of being level 7 and wind attributes, so you can go for a variety of these synchro monsters. It just doesn't have to be tied to the Speedroids. You could go for Clearwing Synchro Dragon, or you could go for another few options. I'm sure there are other examples out there that might actually meet your situation a lot better. And the final support card is Speedroid Duplicate. It's a normal trap card with the effect, you can only use the second effect of this card's name once per duel. 1. Banish 1 wind attribute monster from your graveyard, then target 1 card your opponent controls, return it to the hand. 2. During your main phase, if this card is in your graveyard, you can target 1 Speedroid monster you control, reduce its level by 1, and if you do, special summon this card as a normal monster. It's a machine type tuner wind attribute levels 1 with 0 attack and 0 defense. This card is not treated as a trap. I love the design of this card. First effect, just banishing a wind monster is very easy within the deck, and then you're able to return one of your opponent's cards. If used against one of your opponent's monsters, it will either force them to trigger their effect to negate this one, or they will have to accept that they've lost a highly resourced monster. So either way, you force them into a position where they have to activate an ability, and then if you've got a secondary form of removal, you can then trigger that off. This can be used as bait, really. And the secondary ability is also really good, because just by getting one of your Speedroids to reduce its level by 1, you're then able to summon this card as a level 1. It's very much like Level Eater, and that's how it's meant to work. And because it's a tuner, that helps within the deck against your non-tuner monsters to then go into a synchro monster. I love the design and the flexibility this card actually provides you, and it's definitely a card I wouldn't sleep on within the deck. It also mentions here that there are a variety of reprints that have been confirmed, so you've got, of course, the initial character card, Clearwing Synchro Dragon. You also have Speedroid Terratop, one of the signature cards, Speedroid Takin Tombolg, Speedroid Denden Daiko Duke, and lastly Speedroid Car Turbo. So what do you guys think of these cards? Personally for me, I don't have any favourites. I think they're all useful and they're all designed to actually work really well within the deck. I like that they've introduced a new level 3 synchro alongside the level 11. That means you've got a brand new boss monster and the brand new way of stepping into summoning that monster. I also think that the trap card shouldn't be forgotten about because it's definitely useful. Being able to return cards your opponent controls and then being able to use it secondary as a tuner effect monster, it's also very valuable. Leave whatever your opinions are down below, like the video if you enjoyed it, and don't forget to subscribe for more daily Yu-Gi-Oh content.